Well, it finally happened. We've been waiting months. Where is MJF? When is MJF going to return to AEW television? Is it a work? Is it not a work? Save us, MJF. The wait is over. The devil is back. The devil himself was back in the flesh tonight. AEW All Out 2022 from Chicago. We have a brand new AEW World Champion. His name is CM Punk, a two-time AEW World Champion, beating Jon Moxley in the main event to regain his title. And they went more than 3 minutes. They actually had a very good match in the main event. And it all built to the return of the man who won the casino ladder match. Earlier in the show, he was, in fact, the Joker entrant. We were all wondering, when MJF does come back, and if he were to come back on the show tonight, which I expected him to, and I actually said I expect him to be at the end of the show, but would Tony Khan put him in the casino ladder match? Like, how would they reintroduce him? Because if you're going to reintroduce him and put him in the world title picture, it's got to make some semblance of sense. Why would Tony Khan allow this man to waltz right back into the company and get a world championship match, given the way that he left? Remember how we left things the last time we saw MJF on television. He looked dead in the camera and he called Tony Khan a fucking mark. And that was the last time we saw him on TV. And I will give AEW and Tony Khan credit for at least trying to explain that tonight with the voicemail message that they played at the end of the show with Tony Khan's voice. He left a voicemail for MJF. He wanted him to show up at the pay-per-view. This is your last chance. I have an offer for you. If you show up in Chicago, if you come to All Out, I'll let bygones be bygones. We can put that behind us, water under the bridge. And that was MJF's way to grab himself a title opportunity. And now the stage is set. CM Punk lost to MJF on Dynamite earlier this year on TV in Chicago. I believe in that very building that they were in tonight. At Revolution, CM Punk got his win back in the dog collar match. He beat MJF. They were 1 win apiece. And I have been saying it for months. You've been watching my streams. If you've been listening to the podcast, I've been saying it for the longest time. MJF is going to be an AEW World Champion. When he wins that title, there is only one man, who he should beat to win that championship when he finally wins the big one for the first time. And it's not Hangman Page, it's not Bryan Danielson, it's not Kenny Omega, it's nobody except CM Punk. CM Punk needs to be the man that when he finally wins it, he can shove it in his face and say, I beat you and I won the world title. It's the only story that makes sense. It is the story to tell. Now, whether Punk is the heel and MJF is the babyface, or MJF is the heel and Punk is the babyface, we'll see. Because it was very noticeable at the end of the show tonight when they were having their little face-off from afar. MJF is having his name chanted throughout the Now Arena. They're in Chicago. CM Punk is standing in the ring, and you have an entire building of 10,000 plus chanting for MJF. It is going to be a challenge, I think, for Tony Khan in a lot of the cities that they're about to go into here in the fall to get these people to boo MJF and cheer CM Punk. We may well end up seeing a double turn at some point between these two, but the stage is now set. The question now, when do they do it? When are we going to get that title match between Punk and MJF? Are they going to give it to us in a few weeks? They're going to be in New York. I mean, it's not Long Island, but they're going to basically be kind of in MJF's backyard in a few weeks. Do you do it at Grand Slam? Can they hold off until Full Gear in November and wait until the next pay-per-view and do it there? You know that Tony Khan is going to want to drag this thing out for the fall. This is their big fall program. This is what their television is going to be built around for the next 2, 3, 4 months. Does he want to blow it all here in the month of September, or does he have a plan to extend it out? Maybe we'll get the match in a few weeks. Very interesting also that we saw him aligned with Stokely Hathaway. And we'll get into it here as we go along, but Stokely Hathaway is the one who literally handed him the poker chip and handed him the win in that ladder match. So it looks as if he's going to be part of that crew. And it shouldn't really be much of a surprise. There is a history there between MJF and Stokely Hathaway that goes back to the independency. First of all, they're very good friends in real life. And I would not at all be surprised if that was a big part of why Stokely even signed with AEW in the first place. But beyond wrestling, back on the independent scene, back in the day, Stokely had a faction, the Dream Team. MJF was part of that faction. There is a history there. There is a friendship there. So it's very interesting what we saw here on the show tonight. It does make things more intriguing heading into television on Wednesday night. Malachi Black is another story to follow, because the House of Black suffered yet another loss here on this pay-per-view tonight. Not only did they suffer another loss, Malachi Black is the one who took the losing fall. And based on what we saw in the match and what we saw post-match, it looks like Malachi Black, he's going to be leaving AEW. That's sure what it looks like to me. Whether he gets the release that he supposedly asked for, or they give him an extended break to deal with some personal problems, it looks like Malachi Black is going to be going away, based on what they did tonight. And if he isn't, then what they did with him on this show is fucking ridiculous. But I think he's going away. And we had a tag team championship match that I would say, having watched a lot of wrestling this weekend, and I will tell you that I mean, we have to get through this review first, but man, we have a wrestling hangover after all the wrestling we got this weekend. I will tell you that I put that tag team title match we saw tonight, Swerve in Our Glory and the Acclaimed, I put that up in the same category as the match we had on the NXT Worlds Collide show this afternoon with Carmelo Hayes and Ricochet, and the Sheamus and Walter match from Clash at the Castle yesterday. I think those are the three best matches of the weekend. Those are my three favorite matches coming out of this weekend for all companies, for all shows. That tag team championship match tonight was awesome. And that crowd in Chicago was dying to see the Acclaimed walk out of there with the tag team titles. And I know there's going to be a lot of people thinking, oh my God, they should have called an audible. How do you not call an audible in that situation? I'm actually kind of glad they didn't. And we'll talk about why. This is your AEW All Out 2022 review. I am the Solomonster. I know that AEW has a press scrum that is in progress as we speak. And so if there's any major news coming out of that, perhaps we'll break in here during the stream. But I know that apparently CM Punk is very angry about something, and I'm being told that he is going off in the media scrum about Hangman and about, I don't know, a bunch of different things. So we'll keep an eye on that and see what's going on. I don't know if that's all kayfabe or if he really is just going off. Usually the media scrums are not kayfabe. So if he's going off, then he's obviously pissed off about something. I'm very, very curious to find out. I mean, he just won the World Championship. What is there to be upset about? Is this guy ever happy? Does he just walk around just inherently pissed off at the world all the time? What is there to be angry about? You just won the World Championship, dude. Anyway, hit that subscribe button if you are new here. Hi. I hope you'll stick around and hit the sub button. That way you will be notified whenever we have a live stream like this one go up. Super chats are open as well. And I love and appreciate all the support that you throw my way. You guys have been great this weekend. And any super chats that come in, we'll hang out later. We'll read them. If you have thoughts on the pay-per-view tonight, what did you think of that finish? What did you think of MJF coming back? What did you think of the tag match? What do you think of Malachi? And anything else this weekend that's going on? We had a lot of wrestling this weekend. So get those super chats on in. The goal for Be the Booker tonight is at least 750 likes. I set it on the high side, figuring that we're going to get out of here very late, and so I won't mind if we skip Be the Booker tonight. But if you can get me to 750, then we'll do Be the Booker. So that's the goal. Hit the like button if you would be so kind. Before we get into the review, oh my God, look at this! Look at this guy. Who is that? Who's that guy in the mask? I don't know. We'll find out. Creepy. But before we get on here, I do want to mention there is a full Clash at the Castle review that is up on the channel. If you missed it, it's right around 30,000 views and counting. You can go check that out. And as you can, well, once the super chat gets off the screen, there he is. There's Drew McInluger, everybody. You can go hear my thoughts on Drew McInluger. after what happened yesterday. So go check out my Clash at the Castle review. All right, back to AEW though. Let's go back to the pre-show. We'll start out here with the 0 hour pre-show. They had a bunch of pre-show matches. 4 matches, in fact, starting with Sammy Guevara and Ty Mello defending their AAA Mixed Tag Team titles against Ortiz and Ruby Soho. You like that, huh? You like Drew McInluger? Poor bastard. Anyway, we had both teams coming in to this match, 1 win apiece. Sammy and Ty had a win, and Ortiz and Ruby had a win on Rampage the other week. So this was the rubber match between the 2 teams. The only problem is, who actually gives a shit about the AAA Mixed Tag Team titles? Do you care? I didn't think so. I don't care either. So Sammy and Ty were backstage, and he thought that Chicago wanted to see them kiss, and so they started to make out. All of a sudden, they're interrupted by a honking horn. And they walk around the corner to go see who's doing all the honking, and they find Ruby and Ortiz in a golf cart. And they begin driving towards Sammy and Ty. They try to get away. And unfortunately for Sammy, he got run over by the golf cart. Not the first time that we have seen Sammy Guevara get run over by an automobile on an AEW pay-per-view. Sammy had some blood trickling down his forehead about 2 minutes into this match. So this is the first match on the pre-show, and we already have blood here. And I know this was hard way, but even still, we already have blood on this show. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. We have blood. 15 matches on this card. This is match number 1 on the kickoff show. We have blood. There was a disgusting spot, and I really hope she's okay. Now, I know she actually has a broken nose, but even before the broken nose, this was very scary. There was a spot where Sammy had Ruby on his shoulders, and she was hanging behind him. And the idea was that Ty was going to come in with a boot to the side of the head. Simple enough. Well, in comes Ty, and she delivers a kick to Ruby's head, and Sammy lets go of Ruby, and she lands right on her fucking neck. And I wish I had taken a screenshot, but the way that she landed and the way her body bent, it was gnarly. It was scary. It was a very nasty spot. And honestly, you know what it reminded me of? The way that she landed directly on her neck, directly on top of her head. It reminded me of Big E getting dumped on his head by Ridge Holland. Thankfully for her, she was able to finish the match, but very, very nasty spot. Anna Jay ran to ringside to help out the heels. Ruby cut her off, though, ran her into the ring steps. Ty gave Ruby a superplex to the floor onto Ortiz and Sammy, who were on the outside. For the finish, Ruby was coming off the ropes when Anna Jay grabbed her leg. That allowed Ty to hit a buckle bomb, and then the Ty KO, and Ruby immediately grabbed her nose. As soon as she hit the Ty KO, Ruby immediately grabbed her face. Ty covered her. Ruby wasn't even laying flat. Her shoulder was up. The referee was like, I can't count until you're flat. So she got flat. She took the pin. She never stopped covering her face. This was more than just selling. It was very clear that she was hurt. Sammy and Ty, they retained their AAA tag team titles. She looked like she broke her nose. And the update I saw from Bryan Alvarez is that, in fact, she did break her nose. Well, she didn't break her nose. She had her nose broken. So Ruby Soho almost has her neck broken, and then she gets her nose broken. So this was a very bad night for Ruby Soho. And I hope that her neck is okay. Obviously, her nose is not. This was a mess. This was a mess. We had Hook against Angelo Parker of the Jericho Appreciation Society for the FTW title. Hook greeted Action Bronson in the front row. Action Bronson, of course, performs his theme song. Matt Menard caused an early distraction that allowed Parker to run Hook face first into the middle rope. Parker got cocky, got a little carried away, and he was taunting Hook, and Hook headbutted him, made a comeback, and Menard tried to get involved, and all you need to know is that in the end, Hook was able to apply the red rum, got the submission, and retained the FTW title. After the match, Menard blindsided Hook. He picked up the FTW belt. Action Bronson had seen enough. He got into the ring. He cleared the heels from the ring. I thought this was short. This was fine. Nothing wrong with it. We had Pac defending the All-Atlantic Championship against Kip Sabian. This is Kip Sabian's first match in 522 days. Sabian's new gimmick is that he talks to the cardboard box that he wears on his head. This guy has been sitting in the crowd now for over a year, wearing a fucking cardboard box on his head with a face drawn on it. So now he wears it to the ring, and then he sits it on the timekeeper's table, and he communicates with it during the match. He looks to it for advice. Apparently, the cardboard box gave him bad advice because he lost the match. So I would not take advice from the cardboard box anymore. Pac won with the Black Arrow. After the match, Sabian was screaming at the cardboard box. I have no idea why they bothered building this for months. I know it was just like a low-key storyline, nothing major, but why even bother? Why even bother building this up for weeks and months if this was all that this was going to be? Pac, meanwhile, was being interviewed on stage by Tony Schiavone when all of a sudden out comes Orange Cassidy. And Pac did not want to see him. Obviously, the two have a history together. Back when Pac was a heel, they worked together. Pac told him, "You are not a wrestler. You are a joke." And he walked off. We had Eddie Kingston, one-on-one against the Stone Pitbull, Tomohiro Ishii. In the video package before the match, Kingston brought up his recent match with Naomichi Marufuji last weekend. And he gave a shout out to House of Glory. So I popped for that. I mean, come on. You had to know I was going to pop for that. And by the way, I would love to see them run that match back again. That match did not get nearly the amount of time that it should have gotten. So maybe we'll get to see Kingston and Marufuji again at some point down the road. But we got a chop fest here with Kingston and with Ishii. Very much, like we had a chop battle between Sheamus and Walter at Clash at the Castle. I happen to like that better than this. I like this too. I like this match too. That one was better. But we had a chop battle here. Crowd loved it. They traded slaps back and forth. Ishii went for a move. Kingston tried to counter it, but his shoulder gave out. Ishii ran the ropes. He went for a lariat. Kingston showed that he was playing possum by blocking it. And he came back with a lariat to powerbomb for a close near fall. In the end, Kingston got a win with the Northern Lights bomb. He had used the spinning back fist before, but Ishii kicked out. So he won with a Northern Lights bomb. Ishii won the first match back in May. And Kingston won the match here, so we got to get the rubber match at some point. We need a third match between these two. So now we get to the main portion of tonight. I should say this morning. It's 12:30 in the morning. I don't know what time it is. I haven't gotten much sleep. So I'm not exactly sure where I am or what time of day it is. Pay-per-view opened with the Casino Ladder match. First man to pull down the giant poker chip hanging above the ring would earn himself an AEW World Championship match. We have Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, Penta Oscuro, Rey Fenix, Andrade El Idolo, Rush, Dante Martin, and the mystery Joker entrant. Yuta and Phoenix were the first two entrants in this match. This is how they do these ladder matches. They start out with two. There's intervals of, it's either 2 or 3 minute intervals before the next person enters. So Rush was the third man out. And I got to talk about this. Rush was the third man out. And he comes out and he's taking off his gear. He's taking his time. So now his gear is off. And now he's showboating as he walks down the aisle, taking his sweet time, walking to the ring. Meanwhile, in the ring, Wheeler Yuta is climbing a ladder. He is just mere feet away from potentially pulling down the poker chip and winning the match. Because the rules for this, which are very dumb, is that you don't have to wait, I guess, for everybody to come out before you win the match. This should be War Games rules, where you have to wait until everybody has come into the match and then you can attempt to win. But that's not how they do it here in AEW. So Rush is coming to the ring and he's looking at the crowd and he's posing, and this fucking guy in the ring, Yuta, he made Yuta look like a moron because Yuta now is like stalling and he's fumbling around because he can't pull the poker chip down, even though there's nobody there to stop him really from doing it. So he made his opponent look like a moron. So I don't know what the hell that was about, but it made absolutely no sense. Andrade was out next. He delivered a sunset bomb to Yuta off of a ladder onto a ladder bridge in the ring. It looked like he killed this kid. Claudio was out next. He ran over to check on Yuta on the floor. Dante Martin was in next, followed by Penta. And as Penta was coming out, he was making his way down the ramp. Here comes Dante Martin, and he caught Dante with a destroyer, which is a hell of a way to enter a match. Backstabber in the ring to Claudio. Destroyer to Andrade on a ladder bridge. Phoenix followed that up with a frog splash off the top rope, over the ring post, onto Rouge, who was laid out on the floor across a table. So the Lucha Bros were running wild here. So now we have Claudio, Yuta, and Dante. A few minutes later, they're in the ring. They're fighting on top of this ladder. Okay, the poker chip is above them. They're fighting on top of the ladder. And all of a sudden, a bunch of guys in black gear and black masks swarm the ring. And they attack all of the baby faces in the ring, all the men in the ring. One of the masked men dressed in all black, climbs the ladder, and he pulls down the poker chip. And when he climbs back down, he pulls the mask off to reveal Stokely Hathaway. And I'm thinking to myself, I like Stokely Hathaway. Hey, Stokely Hathaway just earned himself an AEW World Championship. Man, that's quite the upgrade from Diamond Mine in NXT. But he didn't pull the poker chip down for himself. The other men who were out there in all black pulled their masks off to reveal Ethan Page, Lee Moriarty, W. Morrissey, all the people that he has been offering his business card to in recent weeks. Austin Gunn, Colton Gunn, they're all out there. And all of a sudden, we have one entrant left. People kind of forgot. Countdown clock is ticking down to the final entrant, the Joker entrant in the match. Match is not over yet. And the clock ticks down to 0, and all of a sudden we hear the Rolling Stones. We hear Sympathy for the Devil. And another masked man comes strutting down to the ring, wearing a demonic white mask, which I had put up on the screen before, and there it is again. I have to tell you, I don't know if that mask has a name or if that's a popular mask. That mask, I think, is pretty badass. You know, it's almost Halloween. Hey, it's, September 5th. It is now officially September 5th, which, you know what that means? It's basically Halloween. It's September 5th, which means we're only 1 month away from Halloween, which basically means it's Halloween. That's a pretty fucking badass mask. I like that mask. Got the little horns on it. So this guy comes walking down, strutting down to the ring in that mask. He gets inside, and Hathaway hands him the poker chip and then tells the timekeeper to ring the bell. So the Joker entrant wins the casino ladder match. He teased pulling the mask off to reveal his identity, but he stopped short, and he wagged his finger at the crowd, and then he and the rest of the group, they all left together. So the Joker won, but we had no idea who the Joker was. And I saw some people on social media and some people on my timeline, oh, this is terrible. They had a finish to the match here, and we don't even know who won. What a horrible finish. Seemed pretty clear to me who the Joker was. All you had to do was pay attention to the way he walked, the way he strutted and strolled on down to the ring. It seemed pretty clear to me that the Joker was MJF. I don't know how everybody didn't pick up on it. I know some of you did, but there were a lot of people who didn't pick up on this, and I was actually very surprised, to be honest with you. But I pointed something out on Twitter, because I heard the music, and I'm like, what's the connection to the music? And then I remembered. And then other people actually pointed out other instances where MJF over the years has mentioned the devil or being the devil. But there was an episode of Dynamite earlier this year, and it was right before his last match, the match of Revolution with CM Punk. And he cut a promo on TV. It might have been the Go Home Show. And he said the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing people that he didn't exist. And at Revolution, I'm going to show everybody that I am the devil himself. So, I mean, given the music that he walked out to, again, it seemed pretty obvious. The writing was on the wall as far as who was under the mask. And also, Tony Khan is not springing for the rights to a Rolling Stones song for just any Joe Schmo. It's going to be for one of his biggest stars. And it might have just been a one-night only thing. I don't think he's coming out to this music every week. even for one night, I'm sure it wasn't free. So again, it was pretty clear who it was, and I figured, okay, we'll find out at the end of the night. I thought the person might go ahead and get their championship match tonight, but I figure we're going to get a resolution to this before the show is over. As far as the ladder match itself, I thought, it had a few crazy spots. The only thing memorable about it is going to be the Joker winning and then what it led to later on in the show. Nobody else is going to remember much about this match. I mean, there was, again, the ladder bridge spot. There was some craziness from the Lucha Bros. But we're just so desensitized to this. In every ladder match, every TLC match, there was really nothing here that we haven't seen before. It was good. The action was good, but it was all about the Joker stuff at the end. We had the Trios Championship Tournament Final. Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks taking on Hangman Adam Page, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds of the Dark Order. As Justin Roberts was introducing Kenny Omega, he called him Kevin Nash's favorite wrestler, and he said he may also be Will Ospreay's favorite wrestler as well. The Nash thing, for those who don't know, the Nash thing comes from, there was a back and forth on social media a few weeks ago with Kevin Nash and Will Ospreay. I think Ospreay called himself the best in the world, which in the ring, I think he absolutely is right now. But whatever the comment was, Kevin Nash responded. And he said, what's your merch numbers? How much merch money have you made? Or how much merch have you sold? All right, that was kind of his comeback on Will Ospreay. So this was Kenny Omega giving him a little shout out there. So Omega was out. No compression shirt. There was no tape. He didn't look like the Walking Wounded. He had his regular gear on. And I got to say, he looked fucking great. He looked like he was in tip-top shape. He was all cut up. He looked 100% to me. This is the best he's looked since he came back a few weeks ago. And honestly, they totally abandoned, which surprised me, because this is the story they were telling in the earlier rounds of the tournament. This story about, well, maybe he came back too soon. Maybe Omega's not 100%. I don't remember if Excalibur made any mention of that tonight, but why would he? I mean, he wasn't selling it. He looked great. He looked completely normal. So they basically just abandoned that story altogether. Probably because they wanted to go out there and have, a fucking pay-per-view caliber match, and they didn't want to hamper it by having Omega have to sell that, I can't lift him up for this move. And, these guys wanted to go out there and get their shit in. They wanted to go out there and steal the show. In fact, when this match was over, Omega called the cameraman over, and he's looking into the camera, and he says to the locker room, follow that. When the Bucks go out there and he goes out there, that's what these guys are out there for. They're out there to try to get all their shit in, hit all their big spots, all their big moves, and try to have the best match on the show and blow everybody else away. I guess you can't do that if you're still selling an injury. So he walked out there, and you would never know they were doing a story that, Omega was less than 100%. Tony Schiavone kept calling Taz Excalibur. He did it at least a couple of times in this match, to the point where Taz had to tell him, I am Taz. It's like he was cutting a promo. It's like, Schiavone, I am Taz. So we got our face-off between Omega and Hangman. First time since he lost the championship to Hangman last year. Before they could do anything, John Silver tagged himself in. The Dark Order targeted Omega's arm. Later on, the Elite cut the ring in half. They were isolating Hangman in their corner. Omega hit the Kotaro Crusher for 2. Page fought back, hit a Death Valley driver. That allowed him to get to John Silver for the tag. And John Silver has one of the best hot tags in all of wrestling. So this guy tags in. He starts running wild on everybody, including Brandon Cutler and Michael Nakazawa outside the ring. This guy's going nuts until he runs into a soccer kick from Nick Jackson, and that was the end of that. Omega hit the Terminator dive out on all 3 opponents. Alex Reynolds fought out of a powerbomb. Hangman he hit the Orihara moonsault. That led to the Dark Order hitting the Pendulum Bomb for a near fall. So Omega hit a Jade Driller and got a near fall out of that. Omega climbed the ropes. Page met him up top and hit a moonsault power slam. He hit the buckshot lariat to the back of the head, and then he was going to go for it again to the front. Omega collapsed, though, as Hangman did the springboard into the ring. Omega dropped, but as he dropped, in came Nick Jackson with a buckshot of his own. He takes down Hangman Page. So the Bucks hit the BTE trigger. Reynolds broke it up, though, at the very last second for a good near fall. Silver went for the Brody Lee discus forearm. Omega caught him, though, with a strike and put him in the electric chair position for the one-winged angel. Silver, though, rolled through on the attempt and rolled him up for a tremendous near fall. He had the entire building convinced that the Dark Order were going over here in this match. But he kicked out. Silver set Omega up for the buckshot. Omega rolled out of the way, and Hangman Page inadvertently nailed John Silver with the buckshot. Accidentally took his partner out. That allowed Omega to cover him for the win. So to the surprise of no one, the Elite are the first ever AEW Trios Tag Team Champions. This is what Tony Khan has been waiting for. He was waiting to debut these titles until Kenny Omega came back so they could get these belts on the Bucks. It's why we didn't get FTR and the Bucks on the show. Or one of the reasons. The Bucks wanted to go for the Trios titles, and they got what they wanted. So they are now the Trios Tag Team Champions. This was the best match of the entire tournament. Tony Schiavone on commentary said that this was a match that we are going to remember for decades. I'm here to tell you that we are not, but it was an excellent. I mean, look, I understand wanting to put the match over, but there's putting the match over, and then there's just hyperbole that is just completely ridiculous. People are not going to be talking about this match decades from now, but it was an excellent match. Great stuff from all six men, and that could be the beginning of the end of the friendship between Hangman and the Dark Order, given that he cost them the Trios titles in this match. We had Jade Cargill defending the TBS Championship against Athena. Jade was cosplaying as She-Hulk, and she had green body paint on when she came out. I thought she pulled it off well. I thought she looked good. She looked good. She wore it well. So Athena drop-kicked Jade to start. She hit the O-face in the opening minute of the match, right? She hits the Eclipse and seemingly has the match won. The baddies, though, pulled her off. They were a little bit late, though, so it looked like the referee had to hold his count up just a little bit. Athena went to the ropes. Kiera Hogan, though, grabbed her foot, and she kicked Hogan and then ducked a pump kick from Jade. She went for a springboard move, but she got blasted. She got blasted by a kick from Jade, and she quickly followed up with the Jaded, and she got the pin to retain her championship in about 4 minutes. Thanks for coming, Athena. I mean, I was surprised. I'll tell you what I was surprised by. I wasn't surprised that she retained the title because I had picked her in my predictions. But she didn't come off as a threat at all. And I know that the baddies were there. They were helping her. They were interfering. But it was so short, and she beat her with her finish. She finished her off. And again, I don't see Athena as a viable challenger anymore. She went in there. She lost. Jade now improves to 37-0. And it never felt like her title was in any real jeopardy, to be honest with you, here in this match. But like I said, she now moves on to 37-0. Because there is no obvious next challenger for her, Athena just got beat. Chris Statlander went down with the injury. You know what? At this point, let her go to 49-0. You're close enough to 50. Let her go to 49-0, and you can build some intrigue over her trying to get her 50th win. And whoever it is that's going to beat her, maybe they can beat her right before she gets that 50th win and take the TBS title. But off the top of my head, I mean, I don't know who that person is going to be. I think they're going to have to take time to build that person up. You know, Toni Storm, we'll get to the other women's match in a few minutes, but Toni Storm is the interim world champion. Thunder Rose is out with an injury. She is the world champion. Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, Shida. I mean, there are people who are involved in other things. They're not going to be challenging Jade. So I don't know. I don't know who that woman is going to be, but at this point, you may as well let her go. Let her go to 49 or 50. We had FTR and Wardlow taking on Jay Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns. Sanjay Dutt was out there with Satnam Singh in the corner of Jay Lethal, and Sanjay had a t-shirt on that said, "Fight like an 8-year-old brat," with the word girl crossed out. mocking Dax Harwood's promo about his daughter that he cut when they were talking about the rematch with the Briscoes for the Ring of Honor tag team titles. And he told that story about the little 8-year-old girl with the hole in her heart, and they weren't sure if it was going to repair on its own or if she would have health issues. And thankfully it repaired on its own. And that little girl was, Dax's daughter. And, he said, this weekend against the Briscoes, I'm going to fight like an 8-year-old girl. It was this great promo. So that's what Sanjay's t-shirt was about. So FTR came out with Wardlow, but FTR did not come alone. They came with a little 8-year-old girl named Finley. So Dax had his daughter, and she came out through the tunnel. Wardlow gave her a big bear hug, and she went to the back. She did not go to the ring. She did not take any bumps. I thought this was good. This was not memorable like I was kind of hoping it would be. We get FTR in there with the Motor City machine guns, and this is going to be great. It was good, but we never really got that, great battle between the two teams that I was kind of hoping we might get here. The heels worked over Wheeler for a long time, and they worked over Wheeler's knee. Lethal tagged in. He put Wheeler in a figure 4. Wardlow eventually got the hot tag. FTR hit Shelley with the big rig. Lethal took out FTR with a lethal injection. I think it was a double lethal injection. Wardlow blasted Lethal with a lariat and then hit the Powerbomb Symphony. Wardlow with the Powerbomb, not one, not two, not three, 4 Powerbombs. And then pinned Jay Lethal to win the match. Surprised me because I thought they would want to protect Jay Lethal for a rematch for the TNT title, but he pretty much got smashed here. But maybe we can get a proper match. Maybe I don't know, maybe Grand Slam. Maybe we can get a proper tag team match between FTR and the Motor City Machine Guns. I'd still like to see it. We didn't really get that memorable match, that memorable meeting between the two teams tonight like I was kind of hoping we would get. So after the match, all the heels surrounded Wardlow and FTR. They were outnumbered, right? So they're surrounded in the ring. When all of a sudden, Samoa Joe's theme music plays. And out comes Samoa Joe. He is done filming his Twisted Metal stuff. His TV obligations are finished. He had the Ring of Honor television title over his shoulder. So he starts running to the ring, and he hits Satnam Singh twice, takes him out with the championship belt. Sanjay ended up on his knees in the ring, surrounded by all the baby faces, all by himself. And all of a sudden, we see little Finley, the 8-year-old girl, runs down to the ring, climbs the steps, gets into the ring. She takes the pencil. Sanjay Dutt always has a pencil in his ear. Takes the pencil that Sanjay Dutt always has on him, and she breaks it in half. And Dax punched him in the face. I was going to say she punched him in the face. Dax punched Sanjay in the face. And then Finley put her foot on his chest, and the referee counted 3, and everybody cheered, and it was just a nice, feel-good moment. I had no idea until he cut that promo, whatever it was, a couple of months ago, that his daughter had that, issue with her heart. That was, quite the story for him to share. So to see her out there and just playing a small part in all this, Sanjay's out there mocking a little girl, and so the girl comes out and she gets her revenge. I don't see anything wrong with that. I know everybody made a big deal. They pitched the whole shit fit over the -1 stuff when they were doing stuff with Brody Lee's son and talking about, how horrible it was and everything. I mean, give me a break. I thought that this was a very nice moment. There was nothing wrong with it. Somehow, though, during this skirmish, I don't know where it happened. I don't know how it happened. Samoa Joe got busted open. It wasn't a lot of blood, but he got cut open. The guy does a fucking run-in, and he's bleeding. It looked like right by his eye, he got busted open. Somewhere, Jon Moxley is smiling. We had Ricky Starks one-on-one with Powerhouse Hobbs. Let me take a moment here just to welcome everybody and thank you for hanging out with me here very late on a Sunday night, early Monday morning here. This is your All Out 2022 review. We are getting very close to 600 likes. The goal for Be the Booker later in the stream is 750. So I need you to hit that thumbs up button for me if you have not already done so. Ricky Starks against Powerhouse Hobbs. I was not expecting this. How quick and dominant of a win this was for Powerhouse Hobbs. I did not expect this to be this brief and this one-sided. And let me comment on that real quick. I don't like it when Tony Khan feels the need to cram 15 matches into a show. Now, I know 4 of those matches were on the pre-show. The main card had 11 matches. I still think it's too long. And I think what happens is the later into the show that you get, and you saw it in some of the later matches on the card, I think the reactions to those matches would have been better and not as muted as they were, or at least that's how they came across on TV. It sounded like the crowd fatigue was starting to set. It reminded me of a WrestleMania, when WrestleMania was so bloated. And believe me, I've been to a whole bunch of WrestleManias. I've been in the crowd. The crowd just gets very fatigued. You get to hour number 4, hour number, 4.5. And they start to kind of wear down a little bit. One thing I will compliment them on, and that I thought was actually good, there were certain matches on this card that were kept brief. Some of it was just an angle, like with the Christian stuff. That was an angle they did. But at least it wasn't a situation where, because you had so many matches, they all went 10, 15, 20 minutes. They at least had the sense to keep some of them short. But that's something that happens when you have that many matches on the show. You've got to keep some of the matches super short. So you had matches on the show that went 3 minutes and 4 minutes. Like the Jade match, like this match. I mean, that's just the nature of how it has to be. You have that many matches. Some matches are going to have to get sacrificed. Some matches are not going to get time. So Starks entered last, and he went right at Hobbs. Hobbs took control. Starks came back with a back elbow and a swinging DDT, but Hobbs caught him coming off the ropes with a huge spine buster and pinned him 1, 2, 3. This was a statement win for Will Hobbs. I'd like to see both guys get pushed, but this was a statement win for Hobbs and basically a glorified squash. I mean, that's really what this was. This was a glorified squash of Ricky Starks. But this was only the first meeting between the two. There will be more. I guarantee you there will be more. So then we got to, I'm trying to think if this is the best match. I think it is. This was the best match on the entire show. This was my favorite match of the night. For the AEW Tag Team titles, Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland against the Acclaimed, with Billy Gunn in their corner. This match, honestly, what this match was a revelation. I was not expecting this match to be as good as it ended up being. The Acclaimed were mega over in this building. I cannot express to you how over the Acclaimed were in this building and how badly these people wanted to see Caster and Bowens walk out with those tag team titles. And they were over so much that Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, who were not heels, I mean, they weren't like booed out of the building, but they were booed. It was very clear. There was a line in the sand. The fans knew who they wanted to win and who they did not want to win. And they did not want Lee and Strickland to win this match. They made that very clear. Bowens hit a famouser at one point during the match, and he sold a knee injury, given that he's had knee issues in the past. Swerve targeted the injured knee. Bowens fought back with a blockbuster on Keith Lee. And then he reached Max Caster for the hot tag. Crossbody on Keith Lee got 2. Caster tried to put Lee up on his shoulders in an attitude adjustment position, which is not an easy thing to do. Keith Lee is a very large man. Lee fought out of it, but he inadvertently pounced his own partner right out of the ring. Little miscommunication there between the champions. Bowens and Lee were alone in the ring, and Bowens' knee gave out. Lee climbed the ropes, but Caster popped up and met him up top. The Acclaim took the big man down with the superplex, but Swerve cut Bowens off with a diving stomp and then a single leg crab. Caster broke it up with a diving drop kick. Bowens had Swerve hanging outside the ring. So Swerve's feet, you got to picture it. Swerve's feet are on the apron, but he's dangling there, right? And his midsection is exposed. And off the top rope to the floor comes Max Caster with the mic drop, the big elbow off the top. Keith Lee and Billy Gunn, they had a brief stare down that led to a chant of "fuck him up, Billy, fuck him up." Even Billy Gunn, just by virtue of him being in their corner, was over more than Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. They were big into Billy Gunn here in this building. Caster did finally manage to get Keith Lee up on his shoulders, which was very impressive. And he gave him the attitude adjustment. Crowd loved that. They went crazy for that. Caster hit the mic drop on Swerve, but Lee barely broke it up at the last second. The crowd chanted bullshit. They did not like that. It looked like he barely got a hand in to break it up. It was kind of a bad camera angle, but he did. He barely got a hand in to break up the fall, and so the crowd chanted bullshit. Caster and Swerve fought onto the apron. Swerve hit a Death Valley driver, and he hit a backbreaker on Anthony Bowens, who tried to fight off both men all by himself, and Swerve inadvertently kicked Keith Lee in the head. That gave the crowd momentary hope. It might happen. They might be able to pull this thing off. So they got all excited all of a sudden, but it was false hope. False hope that they might see a title change. Just like WWE gave people false hope in that main event last night. Everybody got all excited. Oh, Drew McIntyre. He's going to beat the Tribal Chief. He's going to win the championship. That was before he got lugered at the end of that match. It was not to be for the Acclaim, though. Lee and Swerve hit the Doomsday Device double stomp, and they pinned Anthony Bowens for the win, much to the chagrin of the faithful in Chicago. After the match, Keith Lee offered to scissor me daddy to Billy Gunn, who scissored him back. And the crowd did not like that at all. They did not like this display of sportsmanship here between these two teams. They were not going to have any of this good sportsmanship crap between these two teams. Because they badly wanted to see the Acclaim walk out of that building with the tag team titles. And when this was over, I just thought to myself, holy shit, what a match. What a match. When I looked at this card, you always look for the sleeper match. So I'm looking at this card and I'm thinking to myself, all right, I can see which matches might end up stealing the show, right? I was really looking forward to Jungle Boy and Christian, which really ended up not happening. I figured Jericho and Danielson would go in there and have a great match, and we'll talk about that soon. But I wasn't looking at the tag team title match and thinking to myself, okay, this is going to be maybe one of the best matches all weekend. In fact, the build to this sucked. There was no build. They just tacked it onto the show without any real story to it. So I didn't have a lot of expectations coming into the show. And these guys went out there, these four guys went out there, and they blew it out of the water. They knocked it out of the park. They had what I thought was the match of the night. Far exceeded my expectations. And I know people are, and they're already doing it, I know people are going to say Tony Khan should have called an audible. You know, when he saw how over they were in the building and how these near falls and the reactions that they were getting, he should have told the referee, tell him to change it up. Let's do the title change here on this show. He didn't have to do that. This match, even though they lost, this match validated the Acclaim. This was the biggest match of their entire career. Either man's career. The biggest match they've ever had. Up to this point, they have largely been a joke team on this roster. They missed a lot of time because Bowens was out with the knee injury. He's been plagued by injuries in the past. This was the first time that they really felt like a main event level tag team here in this company. They proved tonight that they can get over, that they can work their asses off, and they can get the crowd invested and get the crowd to believe in them and want to see them win those titles. So tonight really was a win for them in a very different way. Now they can go into Grand Slam in a few weeks in front of a bigger crowd. Arthur Ashe Stadium. Right, we just had Serena Williams in her last game there last week, right? Big venue. Historical venue. They're going to be in New York in a few weeks. They could do the rematch there. They could put the titles on the Acclaimed in New York. I don't know if that's what they're thinking. I don't know if they want to wait longer and drag it out until Full Gear. I would do it in New York. And I think it'll come off as an even bigger deal if they do it there. So it's not the end of the world just because they didn't do the title change tonight. I know that in certain situations, you have to just you do have to call that audible. You got to just feel the crowd and just kind of go with it. But I'm glad they didn't do that because I think it'll make for a better moment if they do it in a few weeks. But this was great. This was great. We had a four-way for the interim AEW Women's World Championship. Toni Storm, Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, and Hikaru Shida. Thunder Rosa has the injury to the discs in her back. She might be out for a couple of months. She's not sure. So she stepped down. Her words. She stepped down as the champion. Now, I don't know why, if you step down as the champion, that you need an interim champion, but that's what Tony Khan likes to do. So there were lots of chants for Jamie Hayter throughout this match. If you thought the Acclaimed was clearly over in the match before this, clearly the crowd was siding with Jamie Hayter here in this match. Storm and Shida, they had a back and forth exchange in the ring. They were laying into each other with shoulder blocks. Rebel got involved. She just climbed into the ring to get between them. I don't know what she was trying to do. And that led to Storm and Shida giving her a double headbutt. And actually, Rebel took this hilarious bump. She just fell backwards. So that took her out of the picture. Baker carried Shida up to the top. Actually, not Baker. It was Hayter. Jamie Hayter carried Hikaru Shida to the top of the ramp. I don't know why. I didn't know what she was doing. I thought she was going to bring her to the back. She brought her to the top of the ramp, and she and Britt Baker worked her over. Baker delivered an ugly-looking stomp to Shida on the stage. That led to the trainers coming out to check on Shida. They helped her to the back. It looked like she was out of the match. Back in the ring, Hayter and Baker took turns dominating Storm until Shida returned with 2 kendo sticks, and she started teeing off on both of these women, the dentist and her assistant. Later on, we had a parade of big moves with the women interrupting each other's pin attempts. Hayter had Shida finished after a ripcord lariat, but Britt Baker pulled the referee out to the floor. It's just like we talked about the other night. There was going to come a point in this match where one of these women tried to fuck the other one over. And it was Britt Baker. She stole the win away from her friend. Now, look, I mean, it's every woman for herself. But you had to know there was going to be a miscommunication or something like this was going to happen. So she pulled the referee out, and Jamie Hayter was incensed. She was not happy about this. Storm hit her with the Storm Zero. She's going to kill somebody with that pile driver one of these days. Baker, though, shoved Storm out of the ring, and she covered Hayter. She was trying to steal the win off of Toni Storm's finishing move by pinning her own friend. But Jamie Hayter kicked out. Storm got back inside. She caught Britt with a DDT, and then she hit Jamie Hayter with a DDT, and she pinned her to become the interim AEW Women's World Champion. This was very likely going to be the outcome anyway. Had Thunder Rosa not gotten hurt, it was going to be Thunder Rosa defending against Toni Storm. Very likely we would have had a title change anyway, so they put the title on Toni Storm. And look, it was tough for these 4 to follow that previous match. It was going to be hard for anybody, male or female, to follow that tag team title match. And I think it did hurt this match, but I thought the match was good. I thought it was a good match. The finish fell flat. Toni Storm won the championship, and it wasn't like she got this big rousing ovation. You know, she got polite applause. She was the right choice, though. And it sets up a match now when Thunder Rosa comes back. You can have Thunderstorm explode, and you have Thunder Rosa trying to unify the titles with Toni Storm. And now they've got Jamie Hayter in a situation where she can finally break away from Britt Baker, even if they want to do the slow burn. Now, right, the seed's been planted. Now we wait to see it grow. The seeds of discontent have now been planted between Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. And in my opinion, the faster you can get Jamie Hayter away from Britt Baker, the better off she'll be. They've had her in her shadow now for a year. And it's long enough now. I feel the same way I did about Santana and Ortiz. The longer they went on as part of the inner circle, it was actually doing them more harm than good. It was no longer benefiting them to be associated with Chris Jericho and stand in the shadows and not do anything. And I'm starting to feel that way about Jamie Hayter. And so I think the time has come to begin the split between those two. We had Jungle Boy one-on-one with Christian Cage. Where are we at, by the way, on the I see all the super chats coming. I want to thank you guys for it. And we're going to be reading your super chats a little bit later. I'm sure you got a lot to say about this show. But again, hit that like button. We're aiming for 750, at least 750 during the live stream, and we'll do our Be the Booker segment at the end. I think we're over 700 already, so that's awesome. Christian comes out, and he is wearing a new t-shirt that says, "Worked Everyone." And he walks over to Jungle Boy's mother in the front row, and she slaps the taste out of his mouth. Jungle Boy comes out, and he's waiting for Luchasaurus, but he notices that Luchasaurus is not behind him, and he's looking for him. But what he doesn't realize is that Luchasaurus has come out from the heel tunnel, right? They have the babyface tunnel and the heel tunnel, which is basically, it's kind of like in kayfabe, let's say, I know some people hate it. Like, oh, I hate that they have a babyface tunnel and a heel tunnel. Well, just look at it like this. One tunnel leads to the locker room with all the good guys, and one leads to the locker room with all the bad guys, and it separates them because if they shared a locker room, they would be killing each other, right? So there you go. I don't know why people are always so upset about this. There actually is a logical way to explain why you would have two different tunnels to two different locker rooms. Jungle Boy is looking for him. He comes out of the heel tunnel, and Luchasaurus goozles him. He grabs him by the throat, and he gives him a choke slam onto the pyro grate, off the stage and onto the pyro grate. That's a few feet down below. And he took this hellacious back bump onto the grate and rolled off onto the floor. And you could see grill marks on him, like he was being barbecued. You saw the grill marks because obviously the grate, probably the soot and everything, it was still hot from the pyro. And you could see the grill marks on his back. And Luchasaurus goes down there. He's, shoving all the referees and the trainers away. And he picks up Jungle Boy and puts him on his shoulder. I told you this weeks and weeks and weeks ago. I told you, don't trust the dinosaur. He was still coming out dressed in black. He was still coming out to his heel music just because he embraced Jungle Boy when Jungle Boy came back. I didn't trust this fucking guy. Never trust the dinosaur. Never trust a guy in a dinosaur mask or a dinosaur costume. I'm sure Barney back in the day did some really seedy fucking stuff. Don't ever trust the dinosaur. So he puts Jungle Boy on his shoulder and he walks him down to the ringside area. And he choke slams him. Oh no, he power bombs him through the table over by the timekeeper area. And Christian is in the ring watching this, and he's looking on very approvingly of what's going on here. Clearly, this was all part of his master plan. So Jungle Boy gets powerbombed through the timekeeper's table right in front of where his mother and his sister are sitting or standing in the front row. Christian was very much enjoying this. Luchasaurus threw Jungle Boy into the ring, and Aubrey Edwards is checking on Jungle Boy, and she's asking him, "Are you okay? Can you continue? I'm going to stop it." And Jungle Boy is basically telling her, "No, I want to continue." So they ring the bell. Christian hits a spear right away, goes for the pin. Jungle Boy kicks out. Christian gets up. He sets up for the kill switch. I think he might have even blown a kiss over to Jungle Boy's mom. Hits the kill switch and gets the pin. This went maybe 30 seconds. And Luchasaurus joins him in the ring, and they hug, they embrace. Luchasaurus puts Christian on his shoulders the way that he used to do with Jungle Boy. The t-shirt said it all. Worked everyone. It said it right there on his chest as he walked down to the ring. He worked us all. Won the match and didn't take a single bump. That's a Hall of Famer right there. I thought that this was a good angle. I know some people are going to be pissed off. And I think I said, who was it? Was it Raj? I know some people were very upset about this. This didn't upset me. I thought that, again, you need to have certain matches that are going to be shorter on a long show like this. I didn't know it was going to go 30 seconds. And this was actually one of the matches I was looking forward to the most. So I feel like I should be more upset about it, but I thought it was a good angle, and I know where they're going with this now. I think that where they're going with this, if he wants that rematch with Christian, because Christian is so great as a heel. He was always much better as a heel than a babyface. He's just such an asshole. Even the people who know him have said he's kind of an asshole in real life. But he's such a great asshole on TV. And you just want to see him get his face smashed in. Now, in order for Jungle Boy to get his hands on Christian, he's going to have to go through the dinosaur first. So we're going to have to get Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, and he's going to have to find a way to beat the big guy before he can get his hands on Christian Cage. So I like this. As it was an angle, it wasn't really a match, and I think that people need to calm down a little bit. This was not as bad as some people were making it out to be. Yeah, I keep seeing all these comments about the media scrum, which I'm going to have to check out when we're done here. Obviously, CM Punk went off on a whole bunch. That's what I'm getting from all your messages here, that CM Punk went off on a whole bunch of different things, and we'll have to check that out a little bit later. Alex Marvez was in the back with Best Friends and Death Triangle. He said that the teams would meet on Dynamite this Wednesday. Pac said to Orange Cassidy that he was a little dog barking up the wrong tree. Boy, he really doesn't like this Orange Cassidy guy. We had Lionheart, Chris Jericho, one-on-one with the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. Jericho entered to his old White Zombie music in his Lionheart gear, the yellow pants. Elliot Taylor came out. He sang Danielson's Born for Greatness entrance music, which actually is quite good. William Regal joined on commentary, and they showed Daniel Garcia watching on a flat screen in the back. I remember the TV show My Two Dads? I feel like that's the situation that this kid was in here. He doesn't know which dad to go with. He looked very conflicted. Danielson caught Jericho in a leg lock, and while he had Jericho's leg all, kind of wrapped up in a pretzel, he stands up, and he looks out at the crowd, and he asks them if they wanted some sports entertainment. So he starts to swivel his hips like he's ravishing Rick Rude, and then he goes back and does some pro wrestling. Danielson is fucking great. This guy can do it all. So later on, Danielson went for a tombstone pile driver. Jericho reversed it into one of his own. Jericho hit a lion salt and got a 2 count. Danielson battled back and put Jericho down, and he grabbed Jericho by the arms. He started stomping him repeatedly, put him in the label lock. Jericho scrambled, though, got to the ropes. Eventually, Jericho caught Danielson in the lion tamer, and Danielson was able to reach the ropes. Jericho suplexed him again. This time, the idea was that Danielson would land on his feet, and he stumbled a little bit, but he followed up by hitting Jericho with the running knee. Jericho, though, got a shoulder up. He kicked out of the Busaiku knee. Danielson hooked Jericho in the cattle mutilation. Jericho escaped. Danielson threw kicks to the back of the head until the referee made him stop. And Jericho was up against the ropes, so you needed that rope break. Danielson threw some more kicks, and again, the referee stepped in. Jericho stood up, and he walked toward the corner where the referee was, and he kicked Danielson below the belt when the referee was shielded and couldn't see it. And then he turned and hit the Judas effect, and he got the pin. After the match, the Jericho Appreciation crew came out, all except Daniel Garcia, who they showed, again, watching on a monitor in the back when the match was over. And he looked upset, not thrilled about the outcome of the match. He stayed behind. All the other members of Jericho's posse came out to celebrate with him. I was very surprised that we did not see any involvement from Garcia in this match. He didn't make an appearance at some point, that he didn't turn against, Danielson and reveal that it was all just a big ruse. There was no involvement at all. Outside of showing him in the back, there was nothing. It was a straight match. I can't say a clean finish because it wasn't clean. The guy got kicked in the fucking balls. But the fact that he wasn't involved more in the match was surprising to me. The work was very good. It never rose to that top tier level that I was expecting out of these two. People crap on Jericho, and he is slower. It's not the Chris Jericho of even 3 years ago or 5 years ago, but he still can go out there and have very good matches. We've seen him have great matches, even in just this year. And Danielson is one of the best in the world. So we know what these two are capable of. I was expecting more. I guess my expectations were higher, and then they did that bullshit finish, which anytime you do a finish like that in a pay-per-view match, that's going to be pretty lame. So the low blow finish took it down a couple of notches. But even the crowd was not as invested in this as you would think, given how big these two guys are. So I don't know. I mean, it was a very good match, but it was missing something. It didn't get to that level that I was hoping for. We had Sting, Darby Allin, and Miro against the House of Black. House of Black dominated Darby. They were ragdolling. I mean, Buddy Matthews, Brody King, they were ragdolling and throwing this guy around like he was nothing. Darby eventually reached Sting for the tag, and people woke up. People were very quiet. People were very quiet for the beginning part of this. Once Sting tagged in, they really woke up, right? People love Sting. What is he, 63? I think Sting is 63 years old. He could be 73, and I think people will still cheer for him more than most people on these shows. Sting gets the tag. He runs wild on everybody. Stinger splashes in the corner. Sting applied the Scorpion Deathlock to Malachi. He shrugged off repeated strikes from Buddy Matthews and Brody King, held on to the Scorpion, but eventually Malachi was able to turn it into a knee bar. Miro tried to drag Malachi out of the ring by his hair. He was reaching in, trying to pull him out, but Buddy Matthews is on the apron, and he delivers a soccer kick to Miro. Matthews avoided a tackle from Miro and looked like he hit him. As Miro came in, it looked like he hit him maybe with Sting's baseball bat. And referee didn't see this, and Miro went and collided with the ring step. So that took him out of the equation. Darby then took him out with a suicide tope. In the ring, Malachi and Sting were all alone. And Malachi was setting up for the Black Mass, but as he turned to deliver the kick, Sting spat the black mist in his face. And Malachi was swinging wildly. He was blinded. Darby came in. He locked on the Last Supper cradle to pin Malachi Black. And I will tell you this. If Malachi is not leaving or taking a leave of absence or getting his release, this finish was inexcusable. I don't care how popular Sting is. Because I said it on the predictions I did earlier today. If it were me, unless he really is leaving the company, if it were me, not only does House of Black go over here because they needed this win a lot more, I would have had Malachi be the first person to hand Sting his first pinfall loss in an AEW ring. That is the finish that I would have done. Not only did they not do that, for the second time in the last few weeks, they had Malachi Black. Of all the men in the House of Black, they had Malachi take the losing fall. It was bad enough when he lost to fucking John Silver, or Alex Reynolds, I think it was, in the opening round of the Trios tournament. And here he gets pinned by Darby Allin. So between that and what happened when this match was over, I don't get the sense that Malachi is going to be around much longer, because off camera when this was over, Malachi hugged the other members of the House of Black. He blew a kiss to the crowd and he bowed. He bowed to the crowd on his way out. That does not sound like a man who is going to be around for much longer. In fact, this may well have been his final night. I don't know if this was brought up at the media scrum. Maybe somebody in the chat can update me if anything was said about Malachi. I don't know if Malachi talked. I don't know if Tony Khan was asked questions. I know some people are afraid to ask good questions at these media scrums. I would like to think that maybe somebody asked him about Malachi. So you can update me in the chat, but it sure doesn't look like he's going to be around much longer. For those who don't know, I talked about it earlier on the podcast today, episode 772. Malachi asked for his release because apparently there's some sort of personal issue that he's dealing with outside of wrestling. It has nothing to do with his booking. It has nothing to do with pro wrestling. Something to do with a personal matter and his mental health. It could be burnout, whatever it is. And supposedly, reportedly, he asked for his release and it was denied. Based on this, it looks like maybe Tony Khan had a change of heart, or maybe they smooth things over to where he's not going to be released because he has 4 years left on a 5-year deal. Tony Khan is not just going to, be like, oh, okay, cool, I'll let you go. Maybe they work something out where he is going to step away for a while, but not actually be released. But if not, again, this finish was inexcusable. If he's leaving, then fine, beat the guy. Let him do the honors on the way out. I have no problem with that. But if he's not leaving, you don't fucking pin Malachi Black again. So something is going on here, and I think he's going away. Daniel Garcia was in the back. We had a backstage segment. So I'm being told that Black was not mentioned. Black was not mentioned during the media scrum. Why am I not surprised? An actual legitimate question that somebody should ask, and nobody bothers asking it. Why am I not surprised? Daniel Garcia was in the back with Tony Schiavone. He was asked about being absent during Jericho's celebration earlier tonight. Jericho walks up and he goes, "Where were you? How come you weren't out there with the rest of us?" And Garcia didn't really give him a good answer. So Jericho said, "You know what? We're not going to be at ringside for your match with Wheeler Yuta on Dynamite this week. It's going to be Garcia challenging for the Ring of Honor Pure Championship." And Jericho said, "Hey, like you did to me tonight, you're going to have to go this one alone. You're not going to have the Jericho members out there with you." Shout out to Alex for the sub. Welcome to the channel. No questions because CM Punk took over the scrum. I'm sure Tony Khan could take the mic out of Punk's hand. He pays him enough money. If he wants to answer questions from people, he could take the mic away from CM Punk. Well, then somebody should ask CM Punk what's going on with Malachi Black. Ask Punk. Maybe he'll give you an answer. So finally, speaking of Punk, it is time for the main event. CM Punk here in Chicago, taking on Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship. We had the match on TV 2 weeks ago. Punk got beat in 3 minutes. He got squashed by Jon Moxley and lost. They kept that title on him because they wanted to have the interim title. Tony Khan said, "I am not going to let you forfeit this championship," when Punk got hurt. Punk was ready to give up the title, and he's like, "No, I'm not going to let you do it." So they kept the championship on CM Punk for 2 months, 2.5 months, for him to come back, and in his first match, he loses it in 3 minutes. Well, they popped a big number out of it. They had over 1 million viewers, so Tony Khan got what he wanted out of it. So this was not their first match, but we actually got a proper match tonight between these two. Punk hit the GTS early, as in the first 90 seconds of this match, and he had a good chunk of the crowd convinced that we were going to get a finish very much like the one we got 2 weeks ago. Moxley, though, kicked out. Punk hit a suicide dive, and they fought into the crowd before returning to ringside and sending Moxley into the ring steps. Moxley, though, came back and he sent Punk headfirst into the ring post. And that busted open CM Punk. And of course, Jon Moxley, I mean, he's like a shark in the water, right? He can smell blood. So he goes outside, he sees blood, he gets all happy, and he starts pounding away on Punk's head. And he just opens this fucking guy up. At first, there was a decent amount of blood. By the time Moxley went outside and got done with Punk and put him back in the ring, Punk was just covered in blood. He was drenched in blood. So Moxley locked on a single leg crab and then started wrenching on Punk's surgically repaired foot. Punk, desperate, took his thumb, dug it into Moxley's eye to break the hold. Moxley applied a figure 4 leg lock and Punk flipped him off and spat on him while he was in the hold. So Moxley stuck him with a pile driver, but Punk kicked out. He tried for another pile driver, this one on the apron, but Punk fought out of it, grabbed Mox's arm, and he slammed him shoulder first down onto the ring apron so he could at least buy himself some time. Inside, Punk posted him shoulder first and then applied the Anaconda Vice in the center of the ring. Moxley started biting Punk on the bloody wound. You could see the blood in his teeth. Sick fuck this guy is. Punk went up top for the elbow. He's lucky Punk is straight edge. Otherwise, who knows what he might pick up from him. The scrum is over. Is the scrum over? This is going to be quite when I'm done here, and I go back to check out this scrum. This feels like I'm going to have to do a whole separate live stream just for the scrum, based on the way you guys are describing it. Sounds like this scrum might have been even better than the pay-per-view. So Punk went up for the elbow drop. As he came off the top rope for the elbow drop, though, Moxley caught him coming down in a sleeper hold. Punk escaped, but Moxley got the bulldog choke locked on. He got out of it. Tried for the GTS again, but Moxley avoided it, hit the Death Rider, covered him, but Punk got a shoulder up at 2.5. And Moxley went right back to the bulldog choke Punk finally managed to hit the GTS. Moxley bounced off the ropes and fell on top of Punk. He collapsed on top of him. And Punk he's on his knees. And you have this visual of Punk. He's on his knees. He's kind of looking out at the crowd. Moxley's basically dead on his back, like dead weight. And Punk is just sitting there. And he's kind of soaking it up. And the crowd is starting to build and build and build. And he picks him up again. And he hits the third GTS of the match to regain the AEW World Championship. He pins Jon Moxley in the middle of the ring. I thought these two had a very good main event. It was, they were telling a story with Moxley going after Punk's injured foot and, of course, the blood. If anything, I was surprised. Now that I think about it, did Moxley bleed? I don't think he did. I mean, Punk bled enough for the both of them. I don't know if Moxley actually got cut. I don't think he did. That might be the most shocking part of the entire show. I don't think Jon Moxley actually bled. Solomonster loves drama. Of course I love drama. Why wouldn't I love drama? I'm a podcaster. I love drama. I thrive on it. Business is booming when there's drama. Why would I not love drama? But I thought it was a very good match. But the real story came when the match was over. We get a blackout. The lights go out in the building. All of a sudden, we hear a voicemail recording, and it's Tony Khan's voice. And Tony Khan is telling someone, and we don't know who this someone is, that my final offer, I will offer you a spot in the casino ladder match and an unspecified amount of money. He gave him a monetary offer, but they bleeped it so he couldn't hear what the dollar amount was. He says, I'll put you in the match. I'll offer that to you as long as you show up in Chicago. If you come to All Out, I'm willing to let bygones be bygones, and we'll put the past behind us, and you're not going to get a better offer than this. So then all of a sudden they play some classic Ring of Honor footage of CM Punk. This is probably like 2005. And there's Punk, and because Tony Khan now owns all the Ring of Honor footage. So here's this clip of Punk from like 16 or 17 years ago, saying that the greatest thing the devil ever did was make people believe that he didn't exist. Kevin Spacey. It's a great movie. Kevin Spacey is a freaky fucking weirdo of a guy, but it's a classic movie. So they played that Punk quote. And now we cut to a shot of the masked man from the casino ladder match. He's in the back somewhere. But he turns around. He takes the mask off. We can't really see who it is, but you know who it is. Takes the mask off, and we hear his voice, and he goes, and I am the devil himself. And then we see the Burberry scarf around the neck, and then we hear the music. And out comes Maxwell Jacob Friedman. He walks out into the arena to a huge reaction. And he calls for them to cut his music. He goes like this. He gives the cut sign. He did the belt motion around his waist, motioning for the AEW World title. Punk is standing in the ring, watching this, holding the championship belt up. And the entire arena is breaking out in chants of MJF. While CM Punk, the new world champion in his hometown, is standing in the ring, this crowd is chanting MJF, MJF, MJF. And he flips off the crowd because he doesn't want people cheering for him. So MJF flips everybody up. They just cheer for him louder. And that is how they went off the air. So that was, it was expected in many ways. I figured that we were going to get MJF. I didn't know we were going to get him in the casino ladder match necessarily, but I figured he's going to show up at the end of the show. He's going to ruin Punk's celebration when he wins. He's going to beat him up. He didn't beat him up, but he now has a world championship match in his back pocket, and the stage is set for a very interesting fall season now in AEW. Because think about it. They have Kenny Omega back. They have Bryan Danielson back. They're going to get Adam Cole back very soon. CM Punk is back, and now MJF is back. And MJF is the one who at the beginning of the summer, it wasn't even summertime yet, all the buzz was around him, and then he just vanished. Well, now they have him back. So what is his affiliation with Stokely Hathaway? Is he going to just be part of their group? Is he going to be walking around with Lee Moriarty and W. Morrissey now? Or, is he going to be doing his own thing? We don't know. We have to wait and see. And I'm glad they didn't have him talk. It didn't make sense for him to go out there and cut a promo. You save that shit for TV. You want to pop a number? You want to pop a rating on TBS on Wednesday? You don't have MJF say a fucking word until Wednesday night. And you put a live mic in his hand for the first time since he told Tony Khan basically to go fuck himself. You put a mic in his hand on Wednesday. That'll pop a number. So it was smart to not have him say anything here on this show. He said all that he needed to say just by doing the belt motion around his waist. And so now we wait and see. When do they do the match? When does he cash in on this championship match that he now has? Do they wait until Full Gear? Do they drag it out until November? Full Gear, they made the official announcement today. November 19th in Newark, New Jersey at the Prudential Center. Now, Newark is in the tri-state area. It's close enough to New York. But it's not. I mean, it's fucking New Jersey. But they're in Arthur Ashe Stadium in Queens in a few weeks. In a big building, they'll probably have around 15,000 people in that stadium. That would be a hell of a place to do CM Punk against MJF for the AEW World title. I don't know where their head is at as far as how long they want to drag this out for, because you could have him win the championship from Punk and still drag this thing out when Punk tries to get the belt back. You know, just because you blow the match off in a few weeks doesn't mean that this feud doesn't continue. So do they do that, or do they not want to blow their load right away? And they want to wait. They want to wait, and they want to tease it, and they want to build it out. Honestly, I'm not sure what I would do. If I had the book and I had the power to make that decision, my tendency, my inclination would be to do it at Arthur Ashe. I just think that's going to be a big show for them. And I know the TV ratings are so important to them, but they also have pay-per-views, right? They have 4 pay-per-views a year, and you want to put on the biggest possible main event that you can. Well, guess what? The biggest possible main event that AEW can do right now is CM Punk against MJF. If they do it at Arthur Ashe, unless they just run it back for a 4th time in November, then what's your November main event? What do you do for a main event in November? I almost think maybe they have to wait until Full Gear, because where else do you go after this? But now that MJF is back, it just automatically makes things a lot more interesting than they've been. And all these big names coming back could not be happening at a better time for Tony Khan going into a fall season where their TV ratings are going to be very, very important. Because a year from now, they're going to be negotiating for a new TV contract. And that's going to tell the tale about what the health of this company looks like in the next 5 years. How much more money, how much more money are they going to be able to get? Are they going to stick with Warner Discovery? Are they going to go somewhere else? Are they going to get less money? We don't know. This period of time that we're about to enter into, these next few months, is going to be very critical to answer that question. MJF being back could not be happening at a better time. So I'm excited to follow it and see what happens. On the whole, I thought this was a very good show. But I don't, you know what? Honestly, I think I may have enjoyed Clash at the Castle a little bit more, even though there were a lot more matches on this show. Let's see what you guys thought in the poll. Let's see how the poll compares. Yeah, I mean, Clash at the Castle got a better score. I mean, look, 63%, 63.7% thumbs up is not a bad score. 25% thumbs in the middle and 11% thumbs down. So go on Twitter at Solomonster, vote in the poll. Poll's open. The poll is open. You don't even have to be 18 to vote. So go ahead and do that and let me know what you thought of this show. Are you still talking about this scrum? This is, let me tell you something. When I go back and I watch this scrum, if this isn't like the wildest media scrum that I've ever seen, I'm going to blame all of you for hyping it up so much. It's all you guys are, one comment after another about this fucking scrum. What do they have, like nude models or something? These women come out and like flash everybody in the room? Was it like, I mean, what kind of a show was it that they put on here? Maybe I should put up a Twitter poll for the media scrum. I'll take that poll down. I'll put one up for the media scrum. Hey, you can give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. All right, let's, I got a lot of your messages here to get to here. We'll talk about the scrum. Oh, look at this. Kevin Dunn just popped up on my screen. It's my reaction to Kevin Dunn when I see his face. All right. Switch on over to your questions here. Maybe you can update me on some of the things that were said during the scrum. We begin with spicy. Actually, no. We start with the Dada and Boys podcast. Thank you for the $4.99. Studies show wrestlers climb ladders slower than normal people. Yuta looked ridiculous when Roosh was coming out. Yeah, Roosh did not make his opponents look good at all. Sean Ross Sapp is reporting important names were pissed off backstage about the media scrum and threatened to walk out. What the fuck happened tonight? What happened? CM Punk went in there in Chicago and he won the AEW World Championship in the main event. And apparently he was pissed off and angry. And I would like to know, what was he so pissed off and angry about? It sounds like we got emo Punk. Is that what we got? Did we get emo CM Punk? How is this guy not a heel? How is this guy not a fucking heel? Can I do a live reaction of the media scrum? I would, but I don't know what the rules are. I'd probably get fucking hit with a copyright strike. I'm afraid to do anything anymore. You can't do anything with that AEW and these companies hitting you with some kind of claim or strike or something. So fuck it. I'm not going to do that, but I don't know what the rules are anymore. Spicy dried chicken. Sorry, Chicago crowd, but the UK crowd is undefeated. Yeah, you know what? I got to give it to the Cardiff crowd. Cardiff crowd gets the thumbs up from me this weekend. They were the best. Clapstick77. Can we please shorten all pay-per-views to 3 hours or less? These late shows are killer. Yeah, you're telling me. Linklex7. This pay-per-view was on my birthday. What a treat. Until tonight, I honestly thought a woman sang Bryan Danielson's theme. Rizzo with the $20. Good show. Love that MJF is back. Odd that Black once again got pinned, but I agree with your tweet. Maybe he is getting that release. Also, personally would have called an audible and put the belts on the Acclaimed. Spicy dried chicken. Whispering Stokely was secretly working for MJF. Well, looks that way. The Dream Team. The Dream Team is reunited. Here's my question. Here's my question about the scrum. Since apparently CM Punk went off on everybody and everything, did he bring up Colt Cabana? Because that would be news. So someone let me know if he actually brought up Colt Cabana, because that would be surprising if he actually mentioned Colt's name. Angry Magma, MJF return, worst kept secret even with a mask. Brian Pissarro with the $20. Felt like hybrid Dynamite Rampage until the end. MJF is going to be the new champion at the next pay-per-view. Drinking through AEW got me through it. Oh, he did bring up Colt. Wow. That is interesting. He called him by his real name, Scott Colton. Well, Phil Brooks certainly had a mood tonight. Justin Smith learned tonight that Europe thinks they are bigger than the Stones. How about a final countdown to getting a clue? Yeah, it's crazy that Tony Khan is willing to spend all this money on all these entrance songs, and he pays for the Rolling Stones, but Europe is too much. I don't know if that's Europe or if it's probably the recording company that's setting those prices, but it still bothers me that when he came back, he didn't come out to Final Countdown. But I get it. I get it. It's kind of like Metallica with Enter Sandman, you know, and they also wanted a ridiculous amount of money when WWE went to them to use it beyond the one time. That's why they scrubbed it from the DVD when the One Night Stand DVD came out. Uffman Entertainment, so MJF and Moxley singing Sweet Home Chicago right now. No, that'd be Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley would be doing the singing tonight. He can go sing songs. He could sing show tunes with Drew McIntyre. Lakers-Pats won. No more 15 match pay-per-views. Lots of awful match endings. Justin Jack, I think Christian should win the TNT title with Luchasaurus's help, so Jungle Boy can beat him for his first singles title. What are your thoughts? I would not take that title off of Wardlow yet. I don't think that's a bad idea, but I would not be taking that title off Wardlow. Shin Akuma with the $5. Thank you, Shin. Alex Ali, this AEW pay-per-view had a lot of story, which I enjoyed. Hangman hitting his own partner accidentally, helping Kenny win. And MJF and Punk was great. I enjoyed it. It was a very good show. It was not as exciting as All Out last year. We didn't have any big debuts. We had the return of MJF. But, you know, last year around this time, it was Danielson showing up, and Punk, and Cole, and I think Ruby, right? Was Ruby the Joker, I think, maybe, in the Battle Royal? You didn't have any of that this year. So that's probably part of why that excitement level wasn't what it was a year ago, but it was still a very good show. Ms. Fan 2598. That ending was superb. I am so excited to see MJF take that title from Punk. Shout out to the Acclaimed. They put on the match of their careers. Yes, they did. Absolutely. Power Blind. Just wanted to say thanks for the supreme content. I appreciate your coverage per usual. Been a fan since the TV Tracks days. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Is Bulu here? Somebody mentioned Bulu. We haven't seen Bulu. I have not seen Bulu. Is Bulu in the chat? Joshua Edwards. Hope Malachi is okay. Have a good one solo. AJ with the $6.99. Love your stream, Solomonster. Do you think the fact there were no debuts or outside surprises tonight is a positive step for AEW when it comes to the roster size and morale? You only have, you know, so many people that you can debut. He was going to have to slow things down at some point. So yes, at some point you need to just kind of give it a rest and focus on the guys and the girls that you have right now in your roster. There's Bulu. What's going on, Bulu? We've got Rizzo. Also, great job by AEW explaining how MJF got into the ladder match again. No, I appreciated that. They at least made an attempt to give some explanation, even if it's still, you know, I mean, it's still a little thin, but they tried to explain, you know, why MJF is back. Joden in the chat, Ruby has a broken nose. She's lucky she didn't break her neck in that match. Cassio Black, better run for Malachi, his AEW or his WWE run? I'm going to say neither and go with his NXT run. If you force me to compare, though, then his AEW run was better just because he at least had the program with Cody. He didn't do jack shit on the WWE main roster. He came up with Ricochet. They were a team for a while. And then what did he do after that? Nonsense. He did a bunch of nothing. His NXT run, though, that's where it's at. Anti-M Bishop 07 at the Media Scrum. CM Punk is airing out AEW about Adam Page and the Colt Cabana situation. Stuff just got really real. Great pay-per-view we'll watch again. Timothy Tillis in the media scrum. CM Punk talks about Colt Cabana. Please check it out when you can. Thank you, Timothy, for the $10. Neo SGX. CM Punk is going livid on Hangman and Cabana. Tony Khan is panicking. Uh-oh. Tony Montana. You got to get those White Claws. Tony Khan is panicking. What did Hangman do, by the way? Hangman comes across as the nicest guy. Why is Hangman being blasted like this? I never got the sense that Hangman was a dick or anything. I've heard that about Punk. I feel like I want to stick up for Hangman. Like, what did he do that was so bad? Yeah, I mean, yeah, again, to go back to Malachi, how long did he sit in a fucking closet in WWE before he finally decided to do something with him? He sat in a fucking closet for a few months going, fight me. Fight me. He didn't do shit. Black Wolf Inc. Call me a WWE mark, but All Out would have beaten Clash at the Castle if it was a champion versus champion match. They basically buried Moxley in the AEW title for the last 2 weeks. Disappointing show. They didn't bury Moxley. Are you kidding me? They've done just the opposite. They have kept Moxley so strong. They have kept Moxley stronger than anybody else on the roster. What are you talking about? Buried Moxley? They did not bury Moxley. Marcus Robinson Johnson, enjoyable show tonight. Match of the night, Swerve and Lee against the Acclaimed. Worst match of the night, Jade and Athena. Wish the Acclaimed and Hayter had won their matches, but I am happy for Toni Storm. Rizzo says, Punk angry. In other news, water is wet. Yes. Michael Darcy, I hate CM Punk. He is such a crybaby. Well, one thing you could say about CM Punk, he is the most polarizing figure, I think, in all of pro wrestling. Now that Vince McMahon has retired, CM Punk is now officially the most polarizing figure in all of wrestling. Marquand. Punk is still mad about not winning on Bozo the Clown in 1986. Linklex 7, Punk is bitter and angry. It must be a day that ends in Y. I swear it feels like Punk is going to end up being the Hogan to Tony's Dixie Carter. I like that. If Punk is angry, it must be a day of the week that ends in the letter Y. Bulu Fatulu with the $20 super chat. Thank you, Bulu. And shout out to Wink the Cosmic Grandma. What a name. Wink the Cosmic Grandma just became a sound-off superstar. Let me tell you something. We have picked up a ton of new channel members over the last 3 or 4 days. And I want to thank you guys especially. And you can tell in the chat, all the guys with the green names, you guys have the badges and everything. If you want to become a channel member, now's a great time to do so. And I know that YouTube is rolling out the feature in the iOS app. Now you can become a channel member on your phone, on your mobile device. You couldn't do that before. So I want to give a special shout out to all of our channel members. You guys are awesome. But anyway, Bulu says, what's up, Solomonster in chat? I just got 2 teeth pulled at the dentist and it sucks, but I'm here. Let's go. I'm sorry to hear that, Bulu. I hope you're on some strong pain meds. Frank Aquilino. Loved the casino ladder match and the end of the show. Great story. Way better than Miss American Pie. By the way, I think Malachi Black beat Sting in a one-on-one match. I'd love to see it, but I mean, that's not the impression I got. You know, based on what they did with him tonight, it sure looks to me like he's going away, at least for a little while. Bulu Fatulu listening to View to a Kill while watching you, Solomonster. I'm telling you, it's the best Duran Duran song they ever did. Rodimus Prime, the devil is back. MJF is the next AEW World Champion. Yes, he is. Thank you for the $20. Hulu Fatulu, keep or delete Hector's expressions or Chuck's expressions from Better Call Saul. More funny. That would be Hector. And we got... I thought I was dyslexic there for a second. We'll call him Han Sickles. Han Cycles. Han Cycles. Not Shawn Michaels. Han Cycles. Thank you for becoming a sound-off superstar. He just joined the team. We got a jersey waiting for you in the locker. What number do you want? I'm going to have to start assigning numbers to you guys so you get them on your jerseys. Bulu said, started ringing the bell like Hector when MJF appeared. Joshua Edwards, Tony Khan acts like CM Punk is his boss in the media scrum. It sounds that way, doesn't it? Who's really wearing the pants in this company? Who's the real boss here? Is it Tony Khan or is it CM Punk? It feels like Dixie Carter holding onto Hulk Hogan's leg as he was walking away and leaving TNA. Jacob Donnelly. What's going on, Jacob? I haven't heard from Jacob in a while. Do you believe that MJF was a work all along? The Tony Khan voicemail makes me believe that it was, but who knows? Yes, the MJF stuff was a work. I think tonight made that very clear. Mr. Notorious Dez. No, I'm thinking of someone else. Mr. Notorious Chico, 86. I just don't see the appeal of CM Punk. He comes across as a bitter, unhappy dude. I really think in his head he is the best in the world. I don't get him. Hey, look, I mean, there's a lot of people in the wrestling business who think they're the best. Seth Rollins was at the media scrum after Clash at the Castle, which was not nearly as exciting as the one that you guys are describing to me. But he was there yesterday after the show, and he was like, I'm the best in the world. And he told Ariel Helwani the same thing. He feels he is the best wrestler in the world. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with feeling that way. You know, you would expect to go out there and believe that you're the best. The question is if you can go out there and back it up. Seth Rollins, yes, I would consider Seth Rollins to be on that list of one of the best in the ring, bell to bell. Yes, he is one of the best. And he has a right to feel that way. CM Punk, if that's how he feels, okay. Let him go out there and prove it. There's nothing wrong with being confident in your abilities. Anti-M Bishop, in all seriousness, I'm glad that All Out is over. The IWC discourse made this tiresome, and now we watch for Queens and Full Gear. Like, sub, and join. Well, I will be in Queens in a few weeks. I'm looking forward to it. Mr. Notorious Chico, do you think Drew is taking time off to heal from the injuries that he has been dealing with the last few months, and that is why he did not win the championship? It's possible. You know, they actually kept him off the house shows the last couple of weeks before Clash at the Castle to make sure that his back was okay. He's had back problems. I don't think so. And he looked pretty good in that match, but anything's possible. I don't have his medical chart, so I can't say for sure. But I'm going to guess that's not the reason why he did not win that match. Frank Aquilino. Tag title match was great. Lee and Swerve are stars. All four of those guys. They're all stars. We've got Tails. Guess Punk went off on Colt and Paige, the Hogan of AEW. Hogan was never this interesting. Hogan was never this interesting. He was a star, but I don't know that he was ever quite this interesting. Vincent in the chat, I think he hit the nail on the head. The only injury that Drew got is a bruised ego after Clash at the Castle. Dada and Boys podcast, random questions. What is the origin of the Solomonster skull and the silhouette that represents the T? Who is that? Is it you from your indie days? Yes, it's me. It's me from when I was the world champion in my indie days, back in my younger days. The skull, no, I mean, look, the skull, I love skulls. I love skulls. So I just think it's cool. People who have like skull tattoos and stuff. Steve Austin has great merch. You know, the broken skull stuff that he puts out, I'm a big fan of that. I have a lot of t-shirts that have skulls on them, so it only made sense to incorporate a skull somewhere in this. I think it's cool. If you don't, I don't mean you, but if someone doesn't, that's their problem. I think it is. That's all that matters. Billy B, 8 out of 10 show. The Joker winning the ladder match, the trios match, and the main event. Cliffhanger ending were the highlights. M. Mills, hey Michelle, what's going on? $22 super chat. Thank you very much. Rizzo, after watching Punk's press conference, it seems either Hangman or Punk is leaving when their contract is done, and I think it's Hangman. Southside Tone with the $5. I'm okay with Athena losing, but they should have done it to where Jade was close to losing. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't as much of a squash as the Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs one. I mean, that was like a glorified squash. But I don't think it did Athena any favors. I mean, they could run it back. You know, look, my prediction when I did the predictions was Jade wins, and they do a rematch at Arthur Ashe with the baddies being banned from ringside because it was the baddies who basically cost her the match. They could be setting up for that. They could be setting up for Athena to get a rematch. Baddies are banned. She could maybe still win the championship, but I don't know. As convincingly as she was beaten, I didn't get the sense that they were necessarily setting her up to be the one to end the streak. Vincent Tucker, did Punk just shoot on the EVPs in the media scrum? I don't know. I didn't see the media scrum yet. I'm going by third-hand accounts from you guys. Bulu Fatulu, Bulu, thank you for the $20 super chat. Bulu, you are awesome. Angry Magma, I stand with CM Punk. He spoke the truth at the scrum. Boy, it sounds like Punk made this all about him. Sucks for all the other people on the show tonight. Epsilon Sama, please watch Punk throwing truth bombs at the Elite. I don't know. Are we sure this isn't all part of just some grand work? Is he working us again? Dr. Dakota Scorpio, after this weekend, I'm mostly burned out on wrestling right now. Good time to take a break from wrestling for now. Focus on real life for the time being. Still will be here for the reviews. Yeah, well, at least make sure you stop by for the reviews, for God's sake. I mean, I'm here 3 times a week. I'm going to be back again tomorrow night. We're going to go live after Monday Night Raw. Food Hive with the $9.99. My first night to myself in a week. Die to work, and I was given an ultimatum by a woman I'm dating that if I choose All Out and not spend time with her, that she's done. With that being said, I enjoyed the show. Food Hive is one of a kind. Food Hive, that's why I love you, brother. You've got your priorities straight. I like it. Hikaru, would you have a babyface Jamie Hayter be the one to take Jade's title? I wanted her to win that title so badly, despite knowing Storm was a lock to win. A babyface Jamie Hayter built up? Yes, absolutely. She could be a contender, I think, to dethrone Jade Cargill. Absolutely. Angry Magma, TNA had tunnels on opposite sides back in the day. Yes, that was back in the early TNA days. I do remember that. Hittin' Dave with the $3 super chat. Face heel tunnel counterpoint. If they go to separate locker rooms, why does Danielson use the heel tunnel? His faction uses the face tunnel because Bryan Danielson is a dick. Anybody who knows him always says he's a dick. So he comes out of the heel tunnel. He comes across as this nice, wholesome guy, salt of the earth kind of guy, right? Vegan, all this other bullshit. He's a dick. King Bling Blah is the best of 357 matches under... Oh, best of 3, best of 5, best of 7. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to use it too often. So it is underused in that I feel like we haven't seen that in a while. You know, I wouldn't mind seeing Walter and Sheamus have themselves a best of 5 or a best of 7. Yeah, I mean, it's an underused. I would say it's underused. JM with the $50 super chat. $50 from JM. How did I miss that? Shout out to Bowens, Caster, Swerve, and Lee for taking the match with the least build and for me, turning it into the most compelling and exciting match of the night. Shout out to Solomonster for all of the great content. JM, you have been a soldier all weekend here. JM, I appreciate that very much. Drew McIncock has been making his presence felt here on these streams. Do you see a double turn coming for Punk and MJF? You know what? After this scrum tonight, apparently, I think, how do you not do a double turn? This guy sounds like an asshole. He sounds like a raging asshole based on everything you guys are saying. So yeah, I would probably end up doing a double turn, absolutely. MizFan2598. There were points where Tony Khan tried to talk, but Punk would shut him down by talking over him. Punk was in full control when he was airing his grievances. Wow. Did he have his Festivus poll where he could air out all of his grievances? King Bling Blah, Chris Statlander is the one to end the streak. 49-1. Well, not if Chris Statlander is going to be gone for 9 months. She's not. Or Wizzle 24. Punk sounds hurt. Do you think him and Paige can squash their beef? Also, which pay-per-view do you think was better, All Out or Clash at the Castle? A lot of good stuff on both shows. I enjoyed Clash at the Castle a little bit more. That's again my opinion. I enjoy Clash at the Castle more, but I thought both shows were very good. There were no bad shows this weekend. Even what I caught from the Worlds Collide show earlier, I didn't see all of it, but I saw enough of it where the NXT show also was very good. Dev to Dust, who is worse, Eva Marie or Rosa Mendez? Rosa Mendez was awful. There was actually a stretch in NXT back in the day where Eva Marie was she wasn't a bad heel, but people hated her so much. And she was capable enough in the ring. Rosa Mendez was never capable in the ring. I don't know how she lasted as long as she did, to be honest with you. I'm sure, I mean, look, I'm sure she's a nice lady. I mean, I'm sure if she was a raging bitch, she wouldn't have been there as long as she was. Obviously, she was, liked by her coworkers, but she was a terrible professional wrestler in the ring. I mean, that's just the way it is. So I have to go with Rosa Mendez. MizFan2598, please live react to this scrum. Sean Ross Sapp is reporting important names were pissed backstage and threatened to walk out. Well, I would love to know who these supposedly important names were. Are we talking EVPs? Are we talking somebody else? Did somebody get their feelings hurt? I think everybody is just getting so emotional. When did everybody get so emotional here in wrestling that they're so oversensitive that everything bothers them? They threaten to walk out. Oh, he said mean things about me. He said mean things about me. I'm gonna walk out. You said mean things about me. Get over it. My God. EJ Slemp was at the show, had a blast, but the Starks-Hobbs match pissed me off. I'm the biggest Ricky Starks fan in the chat, so I hated that finish. Rizzo with the $20 for sure brought up Scott Colton and made it public that he shares a bank account with his mom. Haven't been friends since 2013 or 2014 and more. Wow. Bulu Fatulu. Solomonster, I'm so lit right now. I'm going to start my own podcast, Bulu Monster. I will review all of your live streams and put you over like a million because I am lit. Are you lit from the pain medication from the dental procedure, or are you just... Is it just one of those nights? Daniel Cabeza. React to the media scrum without showing video and audio. Great show as always. Thank you, Daniel. The Undertaker 2024. CM Punk destroyed Colt and Hangman. Jesus Christ. Tony Khan has lost control. And this is exactly what I was saying he has to avoid. You have all of these egos, and you start letting them rage out of control, and things just spiral out of hand. You can't have people like CM Punk, I don't care how big of a star he is, you know, based on what you're saying, talking over him, and, you know, I mean, what is going on here? Can you imagine Triple H putting up with this shit when he did the media shit yesterday? Darth Panic. Bye bye, Miss American Pie. Come on, chat, sing along. You know the words. Bulu Fatulu, Bulu will start printing shirts saying, "What would Solomonster do?" Because I am lit. You definitely are. Dr. Dakota Scorpio, Bret Hart 97 lives on in CM Punk. Last dono for the time being. Thank you, Dakota. Crazy. Crazy is one of our new channel members. What's going on, Crazy? Just made it back home from that traffic jam at the arena. Had a blast. Crowd was louder for the Acclaimed more than they were for Punk. Always good to hear feedback from you about these events. That's a good point. The reaction that the Acclaimed got, at least on TV, sounded louder than the reaction for Punk in much of that main event. So again, they were mega over in Chicago tonight. Luis Belmont show walkthroughs. Lights were out in Long Beach for the pay-per-view because of the heat wave that is hitting California. Got to 111 degrees. 126 if you do the Luis math. What is the Luis math exactly? I need to know about this Luis math. Deuce with the $4.99. There's a big Fightful Select report on what Punk said, and boy, people backstage are mad. Would love to see your live reaction for what he has to say. Oh boy. Wink the Cosmic Grandma. Do you think Tony will capitalize on Stark's promo work and charisma, or will he be stuck in the mid-card like so many other over wrestlers like Claudio and Miro? I think he'll probably be stuck in the mid-card, but he's got bigger problems to worry about based on what's going on tonight. I mean, it's embarrassing, you know? I mean, if again, I'm just going by what I'm reading here as far as the scrum and all that, but, you know, you had a pay-per-view that was actually a very good show tonight. It should be a positive atmosphere right now for AEW. And now, all of a sudden, here we go again with all the drama. I thought that they had their talent meeting last week. I thought they put this shit behind them, and all of a sudden it starts up all over again. I mean, what is going on in this fucking company? And really, the more you hear about stuff like this, who would want to work here? Like, going forward, if you become a free agent, is this the kind of shit that you're going to want to walk into? It's amazing how quickly things have flipped. People would have said that about WWE a couple of months ago. All of a sudden, the script has flipped. Bulu says, sending love and blessings and success to Solomonster and everybody in this chat, aka best podcast ever. Let's go. Angry Magma, Punk has every right to be pissed. EVPs are jealous. Dr. Dakota Scorpio. Let me, hold on a second here. I'm just going to turn the songs off here for a little bit. I want to focus on what's going on here. Dr. Dakota Scorpio, is this your deal, Tony? That's why this company's in the damn shape that it's in, because of BS like this. Sorry, I had to get that last line in. Bash at the Beach 2000, all over again, huh? Well, that started out as a work, and then it turned into a shoot. That's the difference. They worked themselves into a shoot. Food Hive, Cody was taking a lot of the blame for AEW drama. Well, they can't blame Cody anymore now, can they? I think Cody, here's what I think happened. The more I look at this now, I think Cody saw the writing on the wall. He said, I got to get the fuck out of here because this thing is a powder keg waiting to explode. I don't want to have anything to do with this. I don't want to get any on me. So I'm going to leave. And boy, Cody is in the catbird seat now, isn't he? Right? He goes in, shows up at WrestleMania. He tore his pec. He had this legendary performance. And now he's going to come back and become the WWE champion. And meanwhile, you have the inmates running the asylum here in the other company. I think Cody and Brandy got out of there just in the nick of time. Oxify, damn, how are you still going? I've just woke up in the UK and was at Clash, watching the show now. Quick grade rating. Well, you're talking about Clash? I would give Clash at the Castle probably, B+, maybe A-. All Out, I would probably go about the same, B+, like in that range. Darth Panic, Punk letting his inner Austin Aries out. Don't ever go full Austin Aries, no matter what you do. You do not want to go full Aries. Turtlehead with the $4.99. I believe it is all a work. Chicago kind of turning on Punk, pissed after a big win. They cheered when he lost. He came back to tell good stories. I said that before. Are we sure that this is not all part of an elaborate work? Bulu Fatulu doink against the Macho Man on the Sunday Night Heat as the main event would have been lit. How many pills did you take, Bulu? How many teeth did you get pulled? I thought it was only 2. You might want to start cutting those pills in half. Eamon Star 17, agree with Punk. Hangman put himself in some mess. Devin from New Jersey, Solomonster is still up. How does he do it? I don't know. I don't drink coffee. I don't do any of that stuff. And I barely sleep. I'm shocked I don't have bags under my eyes like Punk does. Ken Zoned, $10 super chat. Sean Ross is reporting the Elite threatened to quit, or to walk out, not quit, because of Punk's comments. Well, I guess quit and walk out would be the same thing now, wouldn't it? Bulu says, can't believe after 14 years, the Breaking Bad universe is gone. Not lit. It is very sad, but I thought they gave it a proper send-off. Epsilon Sama, Punk was not an asshole. He was just being real. When EVPs talk trash to the sheets and not on someone's face, anyone would be mad too. Yeah, but what was he mad about? That's what I don't understand. Why was he going off on the EVPs? What did they say about him? Skywalker, is it time for The Undertaker to put his ego aside and finally put Maven over at next year's WrestleMania? I think The Undertaker should stay as far away from a wrestling ring as humanly possible. That's what I think. Angry Magma, EVP supposedly threatened to walk out via SAP. Turtlehead 2, Tony Khan deals with NFL players. This is nothing. Well, he's got NFL players. He's got the football, right? English football. Christian N, $3 super chat. Regarding, is this Punk stuff a work? Is working the boys less of a sin when anyone not named Tony Khan or Punk could be a source for the sheets? No, I mean, generally speaking, the whole working the boys thing. I'm just reading the chat here. The whole working the boys thing, I just don't see what the benefit in that is. You're creating an environment in your own company where even if this is all a work, there are people who work for you who don't know that. And so to them, it just comes off. Now, can they trust people? Do they, feel like I don't want to work here? It's not fun anymore. I tried to get away from all the bullshit in WWE to get away from that and come here. And now it's toxic over here. I don't see how that benefits them if they're just trying to work the boys. Like, to me, that's just dumb. It doesn't make It doesn't make any sense to me. That's not how I would run my company. Tony Khan has a lot more money than I do, so he can run his company any way he sees fit. I just personally don't see the benefit in doing that. Groovy Goose, EVPs equal emotionally vulnerable people. Manny Rivera, $10 super chat. Punk set the record straight. RK even apologized for Nick Jackson leaking backstage stuff to the dirt sheets. The Bucks and Omega should not have been named EVPs. RK even apologized for Nick. Who's RK? I don't know who RK is. Royal World, Punk might get fired before MJF takes that title. He better not. MJF has to beat him for it first. He's got to do the honors on the way out. Boots, I am binge watching Better Call Saul, currently in the middle of season 3, and business is picking up. Have you seen Justified? No. Is that the one with Walton Goggins from The Shield? I have not seen Justified. Kevin Velasquez, and so Sally can wait. She knows it's too late. As she's walking on by, my soul slides away. Okay. Manny Rivera. Oh, finally. I have reached the end. Manny Rivera with the $10 super chat. Punk addressed all the rumors, called Cabana by the name Colton, addressed Hangman going into business for himself. Khan apologized for Nick Jackson leaking the rumor that Colt got let go because of him. Oh, what a mess. What a See, he's apologizing now for what the Young Bucks leaked? Why is Tony Khan even talking about this publicly? He should have just shut that shit down and gone backstage right away and just aired it out in private. What the fuck does this need to be aired out publicly for? I don't get it. This sounds like a complete shit show. James Gentry, Malachi and the House of Black had what is believed to be a curtain call-like thing in the stage off camera during the show. Yes, I talked about that during the review. Off camera, he hugged the other members, and he took a bow. So, blew a kiss to the crowd. That sounds like a curtain call to me. Wow. I don't know. I don't know what, again, I am first going to have to go back and watch this tomorrow. I'm not even going to have time to do it tonight because it's almost 3 o'clock in the morning. But, I mean, what a mess this sounds like. It sounds amazing. I can't wait to dive into all the drama, but what a fucking mess. Yeah, popcorn at 2:30 a.m. I know. I mean, it's ridiculous. Punk had a backstage altercation. Now he got into a fight? With who? Who did he get into a fight with? What is going on here? According to sources, Punk got into a shoot fight backstage. You know, I thought tomorrow was Labor Day. I thought tomorrow that you're supposed to have time away from work and just kind of relax. I know I have the Raw review tomorrow night, but I'm like, all right, whatever, you know. I'll sleep in because I'm going to be up late tonight. What is going on here? This company, it sounds like it's falling apart. Triple H is sitting back in his headquarters right now. He's got the fucking stogie. He's lighting it up. He's got a big smile on his face. He's probably taking a puff. It's like AEW in shambles here. I want to know if he got into a fight. I want to know who he got into a fight with. CM Punk does not have a good history of fights. CM Punk didn't have a lot of luck when he tried his hand at fighting. So I want to know who kicked his ass in the back. Was it Jade? It was totally Jade, right? It's probably Jade. Jade can definitely take him. Anyway, I'm not even sure that there was a fight. I'm not sure what's real and what's not, so I'm going to put a lid on that until I can read up on my own. I don't know if I even buy that. Ty Sloan, thank you for the $5 super chat. What are your thoughts on the Punk stuff going on? I don't know whose side to be on. Also, why even have an issue with Adam Page or Colt Cabana? You'd have to ask CM Punk that. There was no fight. Fake news. Again, this is why you have to be very careful with what you read about on social media and what you read about on the internet. And apparently, evidently, what I read about here in this live chat. But the Scrum stuff is very real, and I'm going to have to go back and check that out. Rizzo with the $10. Remember when people accused Vince of putting Russo in WCW to ruin it? Hell, maybe he put Punk in AEW to kill it. Somehow, I don't think that is the case. All right, well, let's, you guys smashed the like goal, and so I am a man of my word. Oh, did I miss Juan? I did miss Juan. Juan Ocampo with the $2. Check your comments. I will at you so you can see it. Thank you, Juan. Riley Parvin with the $10 super chat. Very kind of you, Riley, here at 2:30 in the morning. I'm here late, so I'm sorry it's already been said, but the next pay-per-view should be AEW Civil War. After all, I think it is going to be AEW Civil War. You might be right. Epsilon Sama, Storm shoot on Rosa, implying her injury is a work. What a mess. And Ty says, what are EVPs supposed to be? Also, Punk's a shooter. You know what the problem is? Taking wrestlers that are actively performing on the roster and making them EVPs. That probably was not a good idea. Probably was not a good idea. James Gentry, was it Meltzer that asked the question that set Punk off? I have no idea. I was here reviewing the pay-per-view. I did not see it yet. All right, let's be the booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
Oh my goodness. I am exhausted, but we are going to be the booker. This is where we try to calm things down just a little bit. And we're going to book some matches here. And then we're going to get the hell out of here. So I can figure out what's going on. Start with the men. And we begin here. We booked, well, look who it is, everybody. It is the King of Kings. It is the Game. It is Triple H. The King of the Castle. He's got the keys to the kingdom now. He is sitting on the throne. And it will be Triple H stepping into the ring with Cactus Jack. One of the great feuds in WWE history right there. Triple H and Mick Foley. Triple H and Cactus Jack, Royal Rumble 2000 Street Fight. One of my favorite matches in Royal Rumble history. It's a great match. Let's head over to the ladies' side. And we begin here with the lovely Miss Elizabeth. My first wrestling crush was on Miss Elizabeth. She's a beautiful lady. I don't know how good her wrestling is. I don't think I ever saw her in a match. But we have Elizabeth going one-on-one with Dana. Well, we could throw this away. Dana Brooke, we you know, Elizabeth, look, if anybody is going to lead Elizabeth to a decent match, it ain't going to be Dana Brooke. go to the tag teams and wrap this bad boy up here. Let's book ourselves a tag team match. We've got Deuce and Domino with Cherry, former SmackDown Tag Team Champions Deuce and Domino. They're going to be taking on the team of The Big Show and The Miz. Miz Show. I prefer Jericho. I think Jericho was the better team. So we went 1 for 3 tonight. Manny Rivera, thank you for the 5. Solo, I said it. The Elite have been using click politics backstage. Active wrestlers interested, concerned with their spots, make for poor EVPs. Yeah, I mean, again, it just doesn't sound like the smart thing to be doing. And Rizzo with the $20 super chat. Rizzo has been killing it all night long, dropping the super chats. Says, sorry, last one until tomorrow. John Alba tweeted, Jericho said when he spoke at the meeting, he stressed to keep things in-house and not go into business for themselves. Apparently, Punk missed the memo. Who even knows if Punk was at the meeting? Yeah, so much for this talent meeting, smoothing things over, huh? What a mess. What a mess. Ty, thank you for the $2. So Punk has an issue with Omega and the Young Bucks. Sounds like it. Sounds like it. Well, look, you guys absolutely tore it up tonight in a way that I did not think you would. And I cannot tell you how much your support means to me because it's been a very busy weekend. And so there's a lot of super chatting on Friday night. And we had a very good day yesterday. I didn't know what kind of a review this was going to be because it's so late. But you guys blew it up, man. You blew it up. Keep those likes coming in because it'll help the video get more visibility on YouTube. So we're very close to 1,000 likes. Try to get me over 1,000 tonight if possible. That would be great. I want to thank the 2,000 plus that we peaked with earlier on. You guys are awesome. Hey, Yukio Rules, thank you for the 5. Someone needs to make Solomonster laugh while he is drinking. A spit take would be a great super chat. Also, keep up the great work and get some rest. Yeah, that's going to be tough to do. The problem is my body is so used to getting up at a certain time that even without an alarm, I'm going to pop up probably by 6:30 or 7. So I do miss the days where I could sleep until like 11. I fucking miss those days. I've got to somehow retrain my body to start doing that again, but I doubt that I'll be able to do it. Well, I certainly have some interesting viewing tomorrow with this media scrum. I don't know if I'm doing a bonus stream or not. I'm sure I'll talk about it at some point, but I will be back with you live tomorrow night. We're going to talk about Monday Night Raw, the fallout from Clash at the Castle. Let me put the thumbnail back up here. There he is, Drew McIntyre. Go ahead, go back and check out my Clash at the Castle review. It is up on the channel for all of you to check out if you missed it. Let me just give some love to these last super chats here. We've got GCC305, just reported by Sean Ross Sapp, CM Punk mad at Solomonster for booking Miss Elizabeth against Dana Brooke on Be the Booker. Love the review. Well, he knows where to find me. I'm in New York. I'm not hard to find. Oh, my goodness. All right. I'm out of here, guys. Have yourselves a good night. Go get some sleep. I'm going to try. And again, thank you for making this a very fun, very successful weekend. I appreciate it. I will see you live for the Raw review tomorrow. Take care, guys.